Hello, welcome to Bob's Dungeon. My name's Bob, I'll be your host. One of the most satisfying things for a game master can be seeing his game idea come to fruition. Everybody having fun and talking about it for some time afterwards. One of the most frustrating things for a game master is to absolutely have what they perceive as a good idea for a game just go south and everybody hate it and it not work out at all. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, is one of these ideas that to me is cursed. I've tried it several times and I think it's a really nifty scenario, but it's never worked out. But let's talk about it. When I got my start in when I got my start in role-playing games, it was with basic Dungeons & Dragons in the mid-'80s. And, of course, I got started with the red set, which I don't have anymore because mine got destroyed. But I got started with basic Dungeons & Dragons. And at the time, what we now call the Satanic Panic was still going pretty strong. And we decided to try and start a Dungeons & Dragons club in my junior high. So we tried to bring more players in, because there wasn't very many of us in our group. So the people in charge, the teachers and so forth, they were completely dead set against that idea because Dungeons & Dragons is evil. It teaches you to be a devil worshiper and everything. No, it doesn't. So, anyway, my friends tried to repackage the club and resell it to them, the idea. And it was now the Chess and Checkers and Dungeons & Dragons, really selling the Chess and Checkers a bit hard to get it past them. They agreed, so we got our club going. It was alright for a while. Until my friend came up with this really nifty idea for a game, which I think is pretty neat. It's got a funny title. It was called Puff The Rabid Dragon. And it was about a green dragon that acquires some magical rabies, and we got to take care of it in the game. And that's pretty cool. But he was writing the adventure during one of his classes. And the teacher caught him and found out what it was for and everything, and decided he was just up to evil stuff because this teacher was kind of hardcore into the Satanic Panic. And so our club was quickly disbanded, and my friend wound up in all kinds of detention to punish him for his evil ways of playing a fantasy role-playing game. Yeah, they were pretty much that dumb. So anyway, we started playing at one of our houses without the option of trying to bring more players in, which is alright. My friend ran his game of Puff The Rabid Dragon, and it was pretty cool. We were running around trying to find components to put together a cure for this dragon, because the dragon was powerful enough and we were such a low level that we couldn't take the dragon on head on and kill it. So finding a cure for it was much more acceptable and much better at our survivability. So that's what we did. And it went alright until TPK. Entire party got killed before we could finish our objectives. And we wound up moving on to a different game and burying the Puff the Rabid Dragon. Well, years later, I decided I would try my hand at running Puff the Rabid Dragon with a whole new group. And I did. And I had to come up with a lot of the statistics and stuff from memory, because I'd lost track of my old friend that ran the game originally. And it's pretty neat. I don't have any of those notes left, so I really can't tell you a lot, but given the magic nature of the disease and stuff, clerics couldn't cast Cure Disease or anything on the dragon to remove it because of the magical nature of the disease. And magic users couldn't cast Dispel Magic because it's a magical creature with a magical disease, and it just would not dispel that way. So you actually had to deal with the disease and go through the complicated process of finding all the stuff to make the cure, or try to fight the dragon and kill it. So anyway, I told my players about the game I was going to run, how they were going to have to cure a dragon of a horrible disease or put him down, and they were going to have to deal with this. And they were like, oh, that's cool. You know, if we could cure the dragon, we'd have this powerful ally. And they were all aboard. So I got everything written up, and we started playing. And the adventure idea was brought to the players, their characters. You know, there's this dragon that's not acting right. Someone needs to go check it out. And the players, pretty much in unison, were like, not our problem, and went and did this instead. So, we took care of this, and the idea was to come back to the dragon. And the players were like, not our problem, and went and did this. So we did this. And so I had to progress things along in my story. So they found out the dragon is sick, and it's attacking people on the roads and highways, and it needs to be dealt with. And the players were, not our problem, and they went and did that. And so I was becoming desperate now. Even though my players said it was a great idea and they wanted to do this, they just completely ignored it. So I came up with some more adventure hooks to tie them into it more, and to which they responded, not our problem, and they went over there and did this. So I upped the rewards, you know, and increased things. There's been a village that's been annihilated now, and they responded with, not our problem, and went and did this. So I flat out started bribing them, you know, with what they would get out of taking care of this problem. And they said, not our problem, and went and did this. So they just completely blew off all this work that I put into it. And I ran what they wanted to run, even though they told me that they were cool with what I was going to run. So eventually, due to them ignoring it, the disease progressed, and a bunch of other dragons caught the disease and pretty much annihilated the entire area. And end the game. Good going, heroes. So that game was over. Years later, I decided to try it one more time with an entirely different group. And this went slightly better. And it didn't. We started playing, and there was one player that decided that he was going to weaponize the dragonized rabies and use it to blackmail the dragons into being his slaves. And he talked the other players into capturing the dragon instead of killing it or finding a cure, and that he would be able to study it and find out where it came from and everything. And they bought into it, and they helped him capture the dragon, which was not an easy task, and I was surprised he pulled it off. And so he wound up getting sample after sample from the dragon until he eventually was able to replicate his own dragonized rabies. And once he was able to do that and got some built up, he delivered his ultimatum that all dragons would now do as he said, or he would unleash this plague upon them. And for those of you that are familiar with dragons, they do not like being blackmailed at all. So the dragons came in mass and told him to destroy what he had. And he said no, you work for me now, or you will suffer the consequences. And other players tried to step in and calm the situation, and they said, "Are you with him?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I gave them as many outs as I could during this. And the player kept pushing, "You will do as I say, or I will disease you." And so the dragons killed everybody. TPK. So, that was it. I never tried to run Puff the Rabid Dragon again. I think it's a kind of a nifty idea for a game. And it just has never worked out for me. I don't know if the idea is cursed or if it was just me and my players. But that's about it for that. If you want to try Puff the Rabid Dragon on your own, I highly encourage you to. But if you do, let me know how it works out for you. Is this game idea cursed, or is it just me and my players? I would seriously like to know. But anyway, thank you for joining me at this rambling story. And hopefully you'll join me next time where we'll talk about something else. Bye.